Mm-hmm.
All right. So you guys, sorry for the delay. I had to get something posted for a classroom so that we can start today. Again, we just finished 2-1-1, right? We were talking about tolerances and then fit. Tolerances are basically your margin of error on your part, right? Everyone kind of understood that concept, right? I want it to be this, but I need to give some room for error because I can never manufacture that part exactly the way I designed. That's not how the world works. That's not how production works. So we have to have tolerances to give the production team a reasonable room for error in terms of how they actually can make my part. Those are what the tolerances are. The fit is looking at, okay, if I have two parts that I'm going to fit together, they each have a tolerance. Well, that could change how they fit together. One type of fit was called interference fit, where say you have like an axle or a dowel, and you got to put it in the slot or the hole. Interference fit is a snug fit. There's friction, right? There's rubbing. Those parts hold together by themselves. There's interference. Another type of fit would be something that we call the clearance fit. Remember when I gave the example of McDonald's, right? You go through the drive-thru and say, hey, clearance, 12 foot. The clearance is the gap that you have. In a clearance fit, you have a clearance or a gap between the two parts that you're putting together. Cadence?
Could you have like with an axle and a hole, would that be a clearance fit or a
transition is the other. Or interference.
Interference, that's the word. It does sometimes rub around.
That depends on your design, right? You could design it so that your tolerances basically force it to be an interference fit, where they almost always will be having friction. You could also give wider tolerances where you could have a clearance fit, right? My hole is the upper limit, my axle is the lower limit. I then have a gap or a clearance. That's a good question. It depends on how you design, how much tolerance you give. The third type of fit is a transition. It literally just means it can transition between either interference or clearance. Right? It depends on how the part was made. Sometimes it might turn out that those two parts fit together and they have friction. But if you have the other end of the tolerances, it could have a clearance fit. So it could go either way. Now what we're doing, we're going to start, again, this whole unit. We're on Unit 2. There's 4 units for this class. We're starting Unit 2. Now we're looking at how do we actually start putting parts together. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do some research on different ways to put parts together. So what we're going to do is I'm going to split you up into groups. Each of you on the classroom assignment and the My PLTW I'll talk about in a moment, you guys are going to get a handout that summarizes one type of joining technique. One of the examples would be an adhesive, right? Glues. That's one category of joining techniques. Hey guys, you need to put those away or throw them away, right? No food or drink, so I need you to get those away and leave those away, please. Thank you. One sec. So adhesives would be an example. One group will get adhesives, and you're going to research adhesives. Another one would be mechanical fasteners, right? Like screws, bolts, things like that. They're all going to be on there. I'll split you up in a moment. So what we're going to do today, you'll have the whole class. I'm going to give you a group based on where you're sitting to work together on one type of joining technique. You'll go on My PLTW. You'll download the handout for your technique. It says it's got some information about your technique, lists some categories, and then it basically gives you instructions for your presentation. It'll say, describe information on these different types of adhesives. Or it'll say, here's different types of mechanical fasteners. Present these sorts of information on it. It's all in your handout for your group. From that handout, you're going to have to go out, do research, and create a group PowerPoint or Google slide presentation that you are then going to present to the class next time. It's like a 3-minute presentation. You each talk about one slide. It's not a big deal. per person or more. But it's not a big deal. You guys are individually going to get today to do your research and make your Google slide. You need to answer everything that your handout asks you to. Right? When I go to grade these, I'm going to make sure, like, hey, it asks to list the types of adhesives. Did your presentation do that? Points. Right? Again, follow instructions. It's all in that handout. They're all slightly different. So you need to get your group specific handout. Right? And then you need to get the information you need and work together, right? One person is going to submit this for your group. I would recommend whoever you want to be in charge of that, they're going to download a copy of the Google slide. It's just a blank one. Then you could maybe even share that with your group mates. That would be a really smart thing to do so that you can split up the work amongst your group. Like, hey, you take the first adhesive, I'll get the second, you get the third. We'll all work on it simultaneously. That'd be a really smart thing to do. Then what you need to do is fill in the information, look at your handout, figure out what is it asking me to describe and share. Do your research, fill that in, get your presentation in there. Again, make sure you have what you need. Make sure your names are on it. All of your group members' names need to be on the first page, and then one of you will submit it. Right? So if I open that back row, if Seth submitted it, I better see Seth's name, Sean, Zach's, Andy. If one of their names is missing, that person doesn't get points. So you guys are all working collaboratively. You need to make sure you're all contributing and your names are all on that. All right? Any questions? Okay, so give me a moment. I need to see how many of each. Okay, so this group here, you guys are a group of 6. You guys have the adhesives, right?
Okay.
Yep, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You all have the adhesives. So you guys would go on to, again, classroom. One person get a Google slide, share with everybody, and then go to My PLTW 2.1.1, and you guys would download the adhesives handout. Read through it and see, like, hey, what do we need to describe and research and put in our presentation on adhesives, right?
When are we presenting
Next class.
Okay.
So you guys are fasteners. 1, 2, 3, 4. You guys are fasteners.
So like screws and whatnot?
like zip ties and stuff?
Yeah, there's a lot of general categories, but it's in that handout. It'll give you some starting info. So that group is all fasteners. This group back here, that back row, you guys are joinery. Joinery. So you're going to go on to My PLTW 2.1.2. There's a joinery handout. That's the one that you're going to follow and use to make your presentation. I'm going to have you guys be, snap fits. Snap fits. So you just look for the snap fit handout. That's the one that you 3 are doing. Wyatt?
What's the number?
Did you hear my instructions?
Yeah.
What's the number?
2.1.2. So you are working with Tanner and Cadence on making the snap fits, right? Make sure all your names are on it. Make sure you get your group's correct handout. One person, I would recommend, make the Google slide. Then share with everybody and use your time efficiently. Split up the workload, right? Do it simultaneously, right? Work together. And then when you're done, again, you have all class. You need to make sure that all your info is in there completely, right? Right? If you give me like a one-word answer for a section, that's not going to fly, right? And your handout is specific. It asks you for specific things, okay?
Okay.
Any questions, I'll be around to help you. But again, basically today is like a research day. You need to work with your group, make this presentation. Sometimes it'll ask for visuals. You need to put visuals in, right? It's literally just following what those expectations are for that certain handout or category, and then working together to each pull your own weight, split the work up evenly, right? And that's all it is. Any questions about what we're doing in general? We good? Okay, sounds good. I'll turn you loose. Again, virtual students, I will send you guys an email kind of splitting that work up and how to do that virtually. Again, it'll be a Google Slides so that you'll easily be able to collaborate and split the workload up, but I'll send that information in a bit.